Red emergency lights washed the containment bay in blood-colored shadows. Inside the reinforced glass cell, Mara sat on the floor with an apex predator pressed against her chest like a newborn. 6 legs. Translucent skin. Claws that could one day rip through hull plating. And right now, the most feared creature in 17 colonized systems was making a tiny sound as it drank from a bottle in Mara's hands. A speaker crackled. "Step away from that abomination," Commander VEXTHOR ordered. Mara didn't look up. She adjusted the bottle and kept feeding the monster. "I'll move," she said calmly, "when she's done eating." VEXTHOR's 4 eyes burned through the window with something Mara had learned to recognize. Not anger. Terror. "That creature has no gender," he snapped. "No soul. Only hunger and violence coded into every strand of its genetics." The infant KITH shifted in Mara's arms. Its bioluminescence rippled in slow blues and purples, like breathing light. To everyone else, those colors were a warning. To Mara, they looked like relief. "She's 3 weeks old," Mara said. "Maybe 4. She can't even regulate her temperature yet." "She is a weapon," VEXTHOR roared, and the translator failed to capture the full panic in his native harmonics. "KITH do not nurture. They birth killers and let them hunt or die." Mara's eyes flicked down to the tiny mouth on the bottle. Tiny fangs. Tiny jaw. A baby. "That's why the Galactic Council quarantined their world," VEXTHOR continued. "That's why possession of a KITH, alive or dead, carries mandatory execution." Mara finally lifted her gaze and met his through the glass. "Then get your execution orders ready," she said. "Because I'm not leaving her." The bottle emptied. The infant made a small chirping sound. Almost satisfied. Mara lifted the creature to her shoulder and patted its back, an old Earth motion she didn't even think about. The KITH burped. It was a ridiculous, almost comical little sound. VEXTHOR looked like reality had insulted him. Another voice joined, urgent. Dr. LRA, the ship's Daxian medical officer, pressed her tentacle-like appendages against the observation window. "Mara, I analyzed its saliva," LRA said. "Those cute infant fangs contain a neurotoxin that could paralyze a full-grown owner's yarn in 4 seconds. Mara kept rocking the baby. "Good thing she's a baby." "Your human physiology buys you perhaps 7 seconds, LRA warned. Then complete respiratory failure. Mara raised an eyebrow. 7 seconds, she repeated. That's 6 more than you'd get. The infant nuzzled Mara's neck. Its warmth steadied. The bioluminescence smoothed into gentle waves. Like it trusted the arms holding it. The observation deck door hissed open. Captain Jean re-entered, his crystalline form refracting red light into prismatic shards across the walls. He spoke quietly, like a man delivering a funeral. The Council has sent their directive, he said. The KITH must be terminated. You must be quarantined for psychological evaluation. Mara looked down. The creature was asleep now, exhausted from feeding. Its claws were tucked harmlessly against her uniform. She felt its tiny hearts beating. All 3 of them. Captain, Mara said, careful and steady. With respect, they're wrong. Jenai's body flickered in surprise. Explain. Mara stroked the KITH's back, feeling the rise and fall of safe breathing. Every species in the galaxy looks at the KITH and sees a monster, she said. A nightmare that shouldn't exist. VEXTHOR made a harsh sound of agreement. But humans, Mara continued, we see something else. VEXTHOR's tone dripped with sarcasm. Enlighten us. Mara didn't bite back. She didn't argue in circles. She told a story. On Earth, we had wolves, she said. Apex predators. They hunted our ancestors. Killed livestock. Threatened children. Competed for the same prey. LRA tilted her head. Jenai's light patterns stilled. And you eliminated them, LRA said. Some tried, Mara admitted. But mostly, we did something more dangerous. She smiled, remembering a golden retriever and a childhood that felt like another life. We domesticated them. Silence fell like gravity. Mara kept her voice soft. We looked at killing machines and saw potential, she said. Companionship. Loyalty. A partner, not a predator. Edgar's eyes narrowed. The KITH are not wolves. No, Mara agreed. They are smarter. She gestured at the sleeping infant. Even in rest, the bioluminescence moved in faint, rhythmic pulses. Look at her patterns. That's not random. That's communication. LRA's appendages tightened. KITH do not nurture their young. Mara nodded once. But what if that's wrong, she said. What if we've only ever met the survivors of abandonment? She let the idea land. The most traumatized ones, Mara added. The most aggressive ones. Jenai's light shifted, slow and uncertain. Are you claiming, VEXTHOR said, that this species might have been judged only by its worst outcomes? Mara didn't answer immediately. Because the infant stirred. A tiny chirp escaped its throat. Instinctively, Mara hummed a lullaby, wordless, simple, something her mother used to sing long before Mara ever left Earth. The KITH's bioluminescence changed. It began to match the rhythm of the hum. Like the creature was listening with its skin. Edgar's voice dropped to a whisper. Impossible. Jean-Marie turned slightly, studying Mara like she was the anomaly now. Humans, he said slowly, have a reputation across the galaxy. Mara kept humming. Quiet. Steady. I've heard rumors, Mara replied. Jenai's crystalline form flickered through amused colors. They say humans will pack bond with anything, he said. That you see companions where every rational species sees danger. Mara's mouth twitched. That's not wrong. They also say, Jean-Marie continued, that you rescued Terran creatures called cats from extinction and brought them to the stars. Despite their murderous tendencies and total lack of gratitude. Mara grinned. Cats are great. VEXTHOR made a sound that suggested despair. Jenai's light patterns dimmed into seriousness. They say humanity's greatest strength and its most terrifying weakness is the same thing. Mara's hum softened, but did not stop. You refuse to accept that some things cannot be saved, Jean-Marie finished. Cannot be changed. Cannot be loved. Mara looked up. Is that weakness, Captain, she asked, or is it simply courage? Jenai's form flickered through multiple colors, thinking fast. Finally, he spoke. I will inform the Council that the KITH specimen has been secured and placed under observation, Jean-Marie said. For scientific purposes. I will recommend a research period of no less than 6 standard months. VEXTHOR snapped. Captain. Jean-Marie lifted one crystalline hand. Silence. You will not be separated from the creature, Jean-Marie told Mara. But understand this. His voice hardened. One aggressive incident. One moment of violence. The termination order becomes immediate, Jean-Marie said. No appeals. Mara looked down at the sleeping infant in her arms. The galaxy's nightmare. Reduced to warmth-seeking and safety. Understood, Mara said. Thank you, Captain. As the officers began to leave, Dr. LRA paused in the doorway. She looked unsettled, not by fear, but by the question she couldn't stop asking. Mara, LRA said quietly, why? Why risk everything, she asked, for a creature that might kill you? Mara's eyes drifted unfocused, seeing Earth again. A dog named Max. A nephew's laughter. The human habit of turning the terrifying into family. She answered without drama. Because someone has to be first, Mara said. And humans are good at that. The KITH made a small, content sound in its sleep. Not quite a purr. But close enough to make the room feel different. The emergency lights continued to pulse, but the containment bay no longer felt like a prison. It felt like a nursery built inside a nightmare. Mara shifted carefully, securing the infant against her chest. The KITH's claws remained tucked. Its bioluminescence stayed calm. Like it knew the difference between a threat and a protector. Outside the glass, Commander VEXTHOR stood rigid, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the creature like he was witnessing an incoming war. He wasn't wrong. Because if Mara succeeded, if this KH grew up with warmth instead of terror, then every assumption the galaxy held would crack. Quarantine worlds. Execution laws. 17 systems of fear. All rewritten by a human with a bottle and a lullaby. Jean-Marie looked back once before leaving, his crystalline face reflecting red light like embers. Human Mara, he said, almost as if he didn't want the translator to hear. Do not make me regret this. Mara nodded once. I won't, she promised. Then she looked down at the sleeping infant and spoke so softly it barely counted as sound. You're safe, Mara whispered. The KITH's skin pulsed in slow, matching rhythm. And somewhere far away, in the halls of the Galactic Council, officials would soon read Junai's report and argue over containment. They would call it reckless. They would call it impossible. They would call it human. But here, in a quiet bay under red emergency lights, the future of human-KH relations slept soundly, unaware it was about to rewrite galactic history, one feeding at a time. If you enjoyed this HFY Sci-Fi story, subscribe to Dragon Alien Universe for more epic narratives. Like, comment your favorite moment, and turn on notifications.